The world is full of great mysteries. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do the bottom of our oceans. And with great mysteries like that, there's no doubt there's gonna be equally as great secrets. I think Neil Patrick Armstrong wrote that, which was one of Einstein's buddies. Comment down below if you guys remember, I'm not sure. I made all of that up. But there's no doubt that there are secrets buried across the globe, and one of the most mysterious places on Earth lies in the far south, an icy landscape plagued with cold temperatures and insanely powerful winds. Also, goblins probably, and other ne'er-do-wells.
And he said, our instruments are not operating, we were losing electricity, we had magnetic anomalies, and we concluded there's something about this hole that is now causing these problems.
This place is known as Antarctica. Heard of it? It's a place where not many people have set foot, and a perfect place to hide things away from the prying eyes of the sheep, the public, okay?
There's an attack on the species by a guild of psychopaths, and they must be defeated.
I love this. Welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, and today we're talking about the secrets of Antarctica.
This photo shows some sort of advanced civilization that has egg-like buildings right next to a bunch of healthy green vegetation, which is very close to the ice wall. I mean, look at how close that is. How is that even possible?
I'll take obvious AI images for 500, please, Alex.
I really like Antarctica, and I love the idea that there are secrets and people think that everything is a conspiracy and there's a mystery behind every single possible thing. Me as well. Count me in, I also do.
Do you believe they're hiding more land from us? Well, I do. And I'm not even talking outside of the ice walls. The ice walls that surround are a level, flat realm and contain all the area.
So that's what we're talking about today. If you want to see more content like this, press the like button, support the channel with Sour Boys. This will be a little bit longer of a higher quality video with some crazy shit in it. We're going to be, this is our craziest video yet. I don't even know what the is even happening with the research and writing of this. I mean, what?
Admiral Byrd heard there was an entrance to the center of the Earth through the South Pole. And he took planes into the South, under the South Pole.
There's some crazy shit in here. I fired everyone on my team after this one. From secrets that are out of this world to things so strange you'd need a tinfoil hat on your head to hear them out. Whatever the is going on down there, I want to know more about it, and that's the point of today's video. There's plenty of theories, by the way, that people have come up with, mysteries, and some secrets that we may not be ready to understand. So let's go down the rabbit hole! Okay, we're starting off with flat Earth and government secrets.
If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth.
Which I really like the idea that people still believe the Earth is flat for some reason.
One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000. But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift. We obviously were not willing to accept that.
Some people say it's because of the Bible. I've read the Bible. I don't understand that at all, to be honest.
People on either side of this argument like to quote Isaiah 40:22, which begins talking about the Lord. It is he who sits above the circle of the earth. Flat earthers say this is a circle, this is not a circle. Well, which is it? Now, the problem is, in translation, the word there used in Hebrew actually refers to something round. If you ask the average person what shape the earth is, they will say it's round, meaning this. Of course, flat earthers say no, they believe the earth is round, meaning this. Turns out Isaiah 40:22 refers to something round. So does it mean this or it means that? We don't know. It's a bit ambiguous. I guess saying it's something round or circular would be closer to the truth.
Many people believe that the government is lying to us. I believe that, okay? And while that is probably true that the government is lying to us about a lot of different things, there are some people that believe that there is an entire secret about the world that the government is lying to us about.
Moments after launching, a homemade rocket crashed into the open desert in California Saturday. On board, Mike Hughes. It would be the final act of the self-styled daredevil known as Mad Mike. His mission was to fly to the edge of outer space to ultimately see whether the Earth is flat.
And I feel like that would be at least nearly impossible to hide, and also the motive for hiding that, I don't completely get it, but let's go through it. What is the secret? Well, my friends, the Earth is flat.
If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. So I should only be able to see it when it's at 17 feet. Lift up your light way above your head. Interesting.
The Earth is not a globe. No, 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 of course, you globetard.
Please, for the love of God, explain to me how, as it twists over here onto its axis, and the satellites are supposedly hovering like this, coming around, how do they not hit this part right here and all fall down onto the ground?
It would be ridiculous if the Earth was a globe. You would be a stupid idiot if you believe that. The real Earth, of course, is a flying flat disc that spins through the firmament, the void. I really don't know. 15 cubits in a span's worth. Flat Earth flying through space, some kind of liminal space.
All right, check this out, guys. See this blue marble image that everybody's seen? Look what I'm gonna do. Cut it in half, copy, flip it. Now watch this. Watch what happens when I play with the colors. Come on, man. Does that not look demonic to you?
And something similar to gravity, which is a theory, by the way, holds us onto the disk and it is impossible to leave, and we never left.
I'm curious what the explanation is for gravity and things like the Coriolis effect.
Well, gravity's still technically a theory. We know that there's an up and a down.
We've talked about the Flat Earth Society many times, I think, on my channel. I've never really done the rabbit hole deep dive on them. We've mostly made references, things like that. It's a insane theory that mathematically, or if you apply any form of science to it, makes not a lick of sense.
What kind of evidence would convince a flat earther? They keep asking for it, but deny it every time if it proves them wrong. I don't think that's true. I've seen no evidence to say, okay, yeah, the curvature exists. I would love to be shut up.
But it could be true, because I believe it to be true. Okay, guys.
You're essentially perpetuating ignorance by denying science. You know, there's a real life implication in all of this.
Science has had its chance, and they aren't putting up a defense.
Oh my God. Perception is not reality, and a broken clock is right twice a day. For some additional context on this whole cool, funny flat Earth thing, the Earth was believed to be flat by everybody a few thousand years ago. And I'd argue that a majority of people back then were probably dumb. And also, back then, people were worried that if they sailed too far, they would fall off the world and they would disappear into the abyss. However, that way of thinking is outdated, it seems like, but is still, for some reason, yet to go extinct and go into some kind of genealogical dormancy in our subconscious. Just go away from the world and just like return to the primordial ooze inside my ball sack and let one of my great grandchildren believe that shit after there's been like 4 or 5 nuclear wars and 3 or 4 great resets. You know, let's bring that back at a later date. I feel like we're wasting our time. That is, of course, from the perspective that this is untrue. But wait! Every single picture taken from space is edited by the government and approved by them. And because of this, there's an entire society of people who believe the Earth is still flat, and they continually believe that adamantly without having proof, really.
Shut up, liberal.
I guess it is true. A lack of evidence, an absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. So I'll give them that. But like, shoot a gun from a far distance. You have to take into consideration the curvature of the Earth depending upon which direction you shoot. So it's like, that doesn't really make sense for the masters of our firmament to just like only affect guns, and that's pretty much it.
I was in the military and I've shot weapons, and we were never once taught to account for Coriolis.
What kind of weapons, if you don't mind me asking? Like ICBMs?
Well, when I was in the military, we shot M16s, and the railgun is a question because it can shoot 100 miles, and it's a line-of-sight weapon. So 100 miles using the curvature of the Earth, it just doesn't make sense that they'd be able to hit the target.
But wait, pilots! There's pilots who believe in the flat Earth! Pilots don't have to be smart. They've got to be good pilots. I've seen so many theories at this point as to what the Earth actually looks like. It is not even funny. Here's one of my favorites, to be honest. I like this one, kind of. I also like the idea that there's a hollow Earth.
Could it be that we may be wrong about the composition of our own Earth? Some ancient astronaut theorists say yes.
Anyways, to go back to pretending that I actually believe this, the government is clearly hiding advanced civilizations on top of the flat Earth from us, okay? And they're far beyond the ice wall. There's something hiding there. Something is there. Something.
They told us that we are never, ever to fly over that hole, and we are never to discuss it again. What is that about? And does that have anything to do with all these other pieces that keep emerging? That there might be something archaeological in Antarctica.
Look at this map. Isn't this cool? Isn't this really neat? They got Asgard up there. What? Amun-Ra. You know, that's why we say amen. You know, that's why amen is that. You know, you're actually praying to a false god, a false deity. Joke's on you, fool. Just kidding. That's not true. That's fake. That's fake. I heard Billy Carson say that on Joe Rogan's podcast. I cannot watch anything on the internet nowadays, guys. Holy shit. People are so stupid. This is cool, though. I like this. It's good lore. Good LARPing. Pretty fun. The scorched wastes to the southwest. Imagine if this was real, though. How much of a fool do you think you'd feel like? I just feel like such an idiot. Joe Biden's from Asgard. He's actually 16,000 years old. So he's doing kind of well, all things considered.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause.
Now that is cool. And to be clear, I'm not sure that there are that many flat earthers who believe this is you know, the reality of the situation, all these different little worlds and stuff. They think the Earth is just like a thing floating through space. There's definitely somebody who believes this wholeheartedly, though, and that makes me sleep better at night.
So why are they teaching the globe model? Well, you see, the globe is a container, and it's a container of all the known land. And have you heard of such a thing as no-fly zones? For instance, you can't fly in certain areas near the Arctic Circle or the Antarctic Circle. The reasons being is because there are lands there that we're not supposed to know about.
I sleep better knowing that there are just many people just worse off than I am. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That is funny, though. Some guy is just like, I'm gonna get to Asgard. I need to get the ring or whatever, go on a fellowship journey with my brothers. Oh shit. 2 of them go have girls' names, alright? And I'm gonna fall in love with one of them, break his heart at the end, go to the Undying Lands. Fuck. Go toss, get my finger bit off, fall in the whatever. I don't know. I don't see a volcano up there. So yeah, flat earth stuff is pretty funny. I do have a bit of respect for the flat earth folk because it really just boils down to the government is not to be trusted, which that's true. The old stereotypical 80s, 90s portrayal of a UFO guy. They're controlling our minds and tracking our every movements, and aliens are real, UFOs are real.
Come on, you like parking here. Why don't you fucking explain yourself? No, got nothing to fucking say, huh?
In the 80s, 90s, people were laughed at, called schizophrenic. Now, all that shit is true. It's just like kind of come out. MK Ultra is a legitimate, actual, real thing.
Under code names like MK Ultra, the CIA spent 25 years and $25 million on secret mind control research.
The NSA spies on everybody that exists around the world, not just in America. And yeah, the Tic Tac thing. Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of weird, to be honest, but flat Earth, bit of a stretch.
For starters, if that disk is flat, the sun is illuminating it everywhere on the disk. So even if it's all the way on the far side of the disk, you still see the sun. So the sun would never set. The other thing that's a problem with this is that how do you get a lunar eclipse? The sun and moon are on opposite sides of the Earth.
No, Oompaville. Maybe there's some truth to it. Now, what about the flat Earth specifically in regard to Antarctica? All right, why such mistrust in the great ice wall of the South? Well, it all stems from a treaty that was written many years ago, signed in Washington on December 1st, 1959 by the 12 nations.
54 nations have now signed the treaty, which bans mining and militarization of the continent. Within 3 decades from now, key pillars of the agreement could be up for negotiation.
These 12 nations, 'twas had an agreement that was upon of the limits to the frozen desert. Or whatever. Antarctica is only to be used for peaceful purposes, which means no military bases, no weapons testing, total freedom to conduct scientific research and international scientific cooperation above everything else. Politics do not matter in Antarctica. Dude, I'm moving to Antarctica. I also heard it was a giant fest up there. Is that true? I don't know if I heard that. I don't know who I think I heard that from maybe a liar or something. Also, nuclear explosions and waste are prohibited. So that's even a one-up over our own country of America here. Due to this treaty, which is pretty cool, it is agreed upon that no civilian of any nation can just go to Antarctica without approval and a sort of tour guide character to lead them around. And that's what I believe, probably because they'll die, so they don't get lost. However, some people believe it is a collaboration between all the nations hiding something from the general public in Antarctica, and only the world governments that signed that treaty in 1959 are allowed to know about it. Plus, you got secret tests, secret scientific research. Everything can just be done there without any sort of outside knowledge. So it's the perfect place to hide something, really. I mean, if you really had to think about it for a couple seconds. Some of the different ideas of things that they could be doing out there, people believe they could be doing illegal tests or working on experimental aircraft.
During its peak season, it is home to only 4,000 scientists and military personnel.
Antarctica is the last frontier.
All of these little different funny projects that people believe are going on fall under the idea that the government is doing something out of sight of its people, okay, away, like Groom Lake, Area 51, all the different secret bases, born secret black ops type shit. We must go to Antarctica because it's cold. It is so cold there, it's crazy. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up on the weather app. Antarctica. Antarctica. Doesn't show up. Wow. Guess I was wrong. Looks like it is a conspiracy. Plus, you can only go on guided tours, so the ice wall can be hidden from anyone who wishes to disprove the round Earth theory once and for all, because that's how you would, is by proving there's an ice wall. But alas, we'll never know because you're not allowed to investigate too much. Okay, guys? But I will say, before the treaty was signed, Antarctica was up for grabs from all nations. There were no rules in place. Anything could go on. The Germans took a great interest in the barren wasteland, I've got to say. They, I think, allegedly. Antarctica during World War II was a entirely different landscape, and it is a shithole right now. And by God, it was a shithole back then. In the early years of the Great War Part II, aka World War II, technology was beginning to soar, with the best scientists working 24/7 to create or invent things to help, you know, win the war.
Full society actually believed that there were mystics or channels who were able to communicate with these beings who claimed to be either extraterrestrial in origin or claimed to belong to this civilization that lived in Earth's interior. They gave a lot of information about the building of advanced aerospace vehicles, flying saucers, and I think this is where Hitler's Nazi party got a lot of its information about Antarctica.
It was a huge boom for a while, and there were many different experiments being performed by all sorts of world governments, and it was all to win the war. So we've talked about the American side of human ingenuity during World War II with the nuclear tests and all these things, all the stuff that happened. They accidentally dropped one in North Carolina, bada bing, bada boom. What about the Nazis? They were well known as having some of the best and horrifying scientists with the whole paperclip. After the war ended, we took them all, and Russia captured a lot of them as well. The Nazi scientific oath, being whatever is necessary, is chilling and disturbing. Some people believe that the Nazis harnessed technology so terrifying that even soldiers of the battlefield questioned whether or not they'd created something too powerful, something that could break the laws of physics. What? That technology being what we now call UFOs.
Was there a connection between the Nazi war machine and something out of this world?
The disc-shaped craft developed in the Third Reich. You know, the Nazis were also developing the nuclear bomb.
That all started in the 1950s, right after World War II, right after the Nazis were up to no good in Antarctica.
The Nazis themselves were fascinated by ancient civilizations and legends of vanished super races. They were searching for this lost Arctic home that they thought that the Aryans had come from. They were looking all over the world, and that included Antarctica.
During World War II, the Allied forces had a name for unidentified flying objects. They called them Foo Fighters, which is a very cool band. It's not to be confused with the band. Whenever I say Foo Fighters, I don't mean Dave Grohl. Okay? I mean aliens. Now, these Foo Fighter events were largely shrugged off by higher command. They told soldiers that they were just seeing things in the heat of battle. However, some of these instances were taken seriously and talked about in secret, and they were debated as to whether Germany truly had the ability to create such aircraft, and they did. Okay, guys, they did. They were just rockets, V1 and V2 rockets, and they were really awesome. They were really effective, and they were very well done, and they were really smart, and they were assholes. They were pieces of shit, and they are who basically started NASA and every other scientific war machine that we have currently at our grasp. The V1 and V2 rockets at the time were very advanced. They are sort of more primitive versions of our current cruise missiles. We have really awesome missiles now. That's like kind of like a super American thing now. I wonder why. Another thing, pretty horrifying, is that in World War II, they created the first jet-powered aircraft.
The German Messerschmitt Me-262. Sleek, fast, and heavily armed, it was a quantum leap in fighter technology. For the Allies, the appearance of the new swept-wing fighter caused a great deal of anxiety and consternation.
It was called Sie Heinkel He 178 or something. I forget what its name was, but it looked funny and it was small and weird and it was badass though. I mean, they did a good job. Let's be real. It's kind of cool. The point is the Germans during World War II were working on shit that most people couldn't even comprehend. So at some point, the Foo Fighter threat was taken seriously, and after multiple investigations, a lot of worries arose. They began trying to find this technology where they were possibly able to develop some kind of alien craft, a circular airship, what we call alien UFOs. It's all kind of up in the air. They did have that stupid acorn thing that looked really dumb, that bell or whatever, but after the war, we really kind of found out more information. The Germans admitted to working on multiple different experimental aircraft, but the research was cut short due to, well, you know, they lost. They got in the ass by Russia.
Everywhere, German forces are trying to secure a separate peace with the Western Allies. They simply cannot face surrendering to the Russians, whom they consider inferior, and who will no doubt torture them and condemn them to hard labor in Siberia.
Like actually the ass, too. Geographically, their ass. One technician by the name of Rudolf Schreiber did an interview with a German news magazine known as Der Spiegel, of which he claimed to have designed a circular craft powered by a circular plane of rotating turbine blades, 49 feet in diameter, which is kind of crazy. He also stated that himself and BMW's Prague team worked until April of 1945 and then fled to Czechoslovakia, which is a baller Nazi move. Classic Nazi move. Better than South America, I guess. Because we found him. That's the point. Better than South America because we found him. And then he was interviewed by Der Spiegel. His alien designs were stolen from his workshop. He believed that the Czech government had stolen the plans and had built this craft for a foreign power, probably, to be honest, America, maybe China, Russia, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Although Russia did crash 2 UFOs in the early 1950s, late 40s. Roswell incident was actually a Russian drone that crashed, and they put 2 disfigured small men in it to incite hysteria, similar to the playing of World of Worlds that over the radio in the 1920s that caused a great deal of hysteria. I don't know what I'm talking about now.
From a scientific viewpoint, the stripes are merely the result of atmospheric conditions peculiar to the planet.
According to Rudolf, after his craft was made by a foreign power, the project disappeared. Years later, the Avro Canada company designed a craft called the Avro Canada VZ9 Avrocar, which was an experimental aircraft that had the ability to VTOL, which I don't know if you know anything about aircraft, all right? That's cool, it's cool. We're still not that good at it. Still not that good at having vehicles VTOL, but cool. All right, everybody playing Halo? Vertical takeoff and landing? Come on, bud, that's cool as shit.
Dear humanity, we regret being alien bastards. We regret coming to Earth. And we most definitely regret the Corps just blew up our raggedy-ass fleet. Hoorah!
A German engineer later reclaimed that this technology had existed during the Nazi era, which only furthered this claim that if the war had gone on a little longer, the Nazis would have basically designed fully functioning flying saucer UFO things, and that would have completely shocked the world. But instead, Hitler himself in a bunker. All right? And then he was dragged through the streets, Muammar Gaddafi style.
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department in Valley Stream, Long Island.
And sodomized with a dowel rod. Probably by Russians. I don't know. But I tell you what, that would have been cool though. They would have dropped up, pulled out the damn acorn. What the hell's the point of that thing? Shoot a rocket right at it, knock it right out of the sky. A bazooka. Imagine shooting an acorn out of the sky with a bazooka. That would be funny. Anyway, seems like we've gotten off the track of Antarctica. What the does this have to do with Antarctica? Well, in a few fiction literature books that talk about Nazi technology, they reference that the Germans had gone to Antarctica multiple times and that the Germans had built a secret military base away, obviously from prying eyes, to start and then facilitate effective development of aircraft during World War II. So they weren't, you know, getting spied on by us and stuff in Russia, because they're like right there. It's kind of a bad spot to be doing shit secretly.
During their time in Antarctica, the Nazis were believed to have mapped huge swaths of the icy landscape by air. Ancient astronaut theorists believe they also established an elaborate underground headquarters known as Base 211.
But they also allege that they continued working on the aircraft after the war. These books reference this research retreat, which actually happened in the late 1930s. In December of 1938, it is claimed that the Germans went on an expedition to the South Pole from Hamburg.
Hamburg, Germany, December 1938. 4 years into Adolf Hitler's reign as Führer, he is beginning to establish his total dictatorship by taking direct control of the German military.
With orders from Hitler to start whaling to get raw materials like fat so they wouldn't have to rely on imports from Norway, which kind of makes sense, I guess. But on January 19th, 1939, the Germans constructed a base of operations in Antarctica, planting their flags in the ice and establishing New Swabia, or the Neuschwabenland, or whatever. I don't know. Because of this expedition, many folk believe that the Germans have and had a military installation there, since they already had camp set up there, and that's like proven because they were getting whale fat. Blubber. It is a perfect place to operate out of view. That was my Nazi voice. That's not a German accent. I don't want to offend any Germans. I love Germany, so, you know, sorry. And there's more books created seemingly every single day to really sell the deal. A book called The Morning of the Magicians talked about how the Nazis had contacted aliens and created UFOs, but with the end of the war, they quickly retreated into their base in Antarctica. So that's where they ended up. It wasn't Argentina. It wasn't any other place in South America. It wasn't Czechoslovakia. So it was Antarctica, guys. It was Antarctica. They're in the South Pole with Santa Claus. Or is he in the North Pole? I haven't been a child in a while, so I don't think about Santa Claus a lot. But he does occasionally cross my mind. But that's not it, though. They're in Antarctica to hide in the hollow earth and live with the advanced race of aliens and leaders who have lived in the hollow earth for an extended period of time.
Well-respected scientists and mathematicians have long speculated about a theory that became known as Hollow Earth.
And there's also the whole Admiral Richard Byrd thing, which we'll probably get into. In the meantime, there's been a bunch of people that point out strange things on Google Images, Google Earth, I mean. One of them being at this latitude and longitude. It's an ice door near Showa Station. Yep. That definitely looks like a Nazi bunker. Or this one, which is also believed to be a door hidden in the ice. And for some reason, people believe it's a Nazi bunker and not just a door to some kind of building. Yep. That also definitely looks like a Nazi bunker. Now, to a precocious viewer like yourself, this all may seem as if it is nonsense. That's because it definitely is nonsense. But with how secret and unknown Antarctica really is, many people are unsurprised that Nazis continued to develop their technology far away from prying eyes up there and yeah, it's the ice cold desert of the Antarctica. Yeah, it makes sense. Many people are not surprised. What do you guys think? Do you think that's real? That would be really fun if it was real. I would love to go to Antarctica and see what's up there. I would love to take a trip to Antarctica. Any tour guides want to come with me? Are there flies in Antarctica? Maybe when a fly flies past me. I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be right back. Intermission. You take a break too. Hold on. Not you, Coop. You keep editing.
You were to dig one hole each day. The longer it takes you to dig, the longer you'll be out in the hot sun.
Now, I have reason to believe that there are aliens in Antarctica. Why do I believe that? Well, because it's fun. All right, that's why. That's why I believe everything. Because it's fun. It makes me feel happy. Now, to feed off the claims of the previous section, some people didn't necessarily believe that the Nazis created the technology to develop these UFOs, but that they were given it by a higher power, a power not of this world. E.T.
Civil society actually believed that there were mystics or channels who were able to communicate with these beings who claimed to be either extraterrestrial in origin or claimed to belong to this civilization that lived in Earth's interior. They gave a lot of information about the building of advanced aerospace vehicles, flying saucers, and I think this is where Hitler's Nazi party got a lot of its information about Antarctica.
From E.T. Him! Oh. They killed him. It was a real guy. God, Steven Spielberg got so drunk that night. They actually killed him.
E.T. phone home.
Now, for centuries, people have believed in extraterrestrials, and looking up, it's like, I wonder if we're actually alone out there. Are we truly alone? Are there people up there if I talk? Hey, can they hear me? I'm not exactly sure, but we've been talking about that shit for a long time as human beings, okay? It's been talked about or drawn about, I get memed of, in old cave paintings on pyramids and in many more. Ancient civilizations have talked about extraterrestrials for a long time. In fact, one of the main reasons we even went to Iraq in the early 90s and then once again in the early 2000s was because Saddam Hussein is the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar from the Old Testament.
Way back in the 7th century BC, Nebuchadnezzar II rose from a military background to become undisputed king of Babylon.
And Nebuchadnezzar inherited an Anunnaki stargate that wasn't to be activated for 4,600 years, 4,300 years? I forget exactly.
The missing piece to the puzzle of why we went to war with Iraq is the understanding that Saddam Hussein sought to outdo what Nebuchadnezzar had accomplished in his earlier life.
But the time ticked up when basically George W. Bush took power in 2000 and he realized that the second coming of Nebuchadnezzar was in Saddam Hussein. He was going to activate the Stargate. That's why, those were the weapons of mass destruction for the war in Iraq, pretty much.
Saddam Hussein, so the theory goes, got access to this Stargate, maybe threatened to use it. Was that why the Allied powers went in?
So it's been going around for a while. People believe that they kind of show us this technology. It's because they're testing us and we're to join their universal society one day when we're good enough. Not exactly sure if that makes a lot of sense, but it is an idea some people have in their brains.
It sounds far-fetched, but this theory is widely believed.
There is some weird shit, some alien shit up there in Antarctica, all right? I'll tell you what is this? What's this? What is this, crash landing? What is this? Some guy on Reddit found a strange object that looked to be a cylindrical shaped thing that had dragged across an icy desert. South Georgia, in the South Damn Sandwich Islands. That looks like a onomatopoeia or whatever that shit that NASA found a couple years ago. That long rock, the Oumuamua? What is it called? I don't know. How am I supposed to say it? Say it down below for me. It's just straight skid mark past it, man. And it kind of looks like a crashed thing. It sort of reinforces the theory. Just looking at it, it seems like something did indeed crash into the ice. Now, what if we go and look at it again on Google Earth? Guess what? It's not there. Boom. Point proven. Point proven. Mystery solved. Some haters say that it could potentially be a rock slide, but the distance between the nearest mountain and the object, it's several thousand feet, so not possible, pretty much. They couldn't have rolled down or anything like that, to be honest. People believe that this craft or rock or whatever the crashed into the mountain and then skid all the way down with its momentum carrying it super far, farther than gravity could carry it. So yeah, pretty cool. And honestly, the Google Earth probably just updated since then. So it's not like it's really, they're hiding anything. They just update stuff. It does look washed out and weird though. The Google Earth that I can see, it looks really weird. It looks like they're hiding something. This looks like a FNAF teaser. On top of this crashed craft, people also discovered a hole on Google Earth as well, and it looked like it had been carved.
In 2016, a striking image was discovered of a seemingly man-made entrance carved into an Antarctic mountain range.
At these coordinates, there's a huge hole found in the side of a random ass mountain, and the hole is about 105 feet by 52 feet with a suspicious almost metal cover next to it, which differs from the object observed before. This hole is believed to house some kind of aircraft. It's out of sight. It's 35 miles from the nearest station. The area is viewed this way because it doesn't seem natural at all. People think that this doesn't look natural.
This is a legitimate satellite image of a very large, proportionate hole in the ground or the mountain range. This looks intelligently designed to suit a specific craft that flies through this particular opening.
They think this hole is scary. All right. I get a scary hole every now and then. Every now and then gaping into the abyss and the abyss gapes back and you see it and it's just like a hole. It's like, why is this here? You think if someone dug it though, it'd be more square, you know? Maybe if I dug it, it'd look like that with my hands. Nobody truly knows. That's for sure. And it's sort of embarrassed to even pontificate what the reality of this hole is. It sort of makes me feel stupid to even keep talking about this. Plus, this one wasn't scrubbed from the internet like the last image, so it makes you wonder what really is going on here. According to investigative journalist and very talented ufologist Linda Moulton Hugh, she was given classified information allegedly by a supposed ex-Navy SEAL who she calls Spartan 1.
In July 2018, Linda Moulton Howe interviewed a whistleblower who offered to provide her with classified information regarding Antarctica on the condition that she not reveal his identity.
Probably Sergeant Johnson, who suffered from Boren syndrome as a result of Spartan 1 testing. Okay, and that is why he could not be assimilated by the Flood and Halo Combat Evolved. Okay, all right. Okay. According to Spartan 1, there was a giant octangular object that they approached that was hidden in the ice.
At the very top of the first structure that we entered, there was almost 18 feet poking from the ice. The rest of it was hidden under the ice.
And they approached this large door. It was between 18 and 30 feet thick. And even though the doors were that big, you could use one finger to open the door easily, which is so cool.
Each door was the same, anywhere from 18 feet thick to around 30 feet thick. And even though these doors were that thick and that heavy, you could take one finger and push them and they would open. There was no resistance whatsoever.
He described the interior as having light green lights lighting up the interior with strange hieroglyphics he had never seen before because he's not into using cell phones. Emojis is what I'm saying. And he's not really a big fan of the History Channel like us. He made sketches that apparently laid over a portion of the map and the mountain and it matched up. Pretty interesting stuff. Spartan 1 gave some more detail though, such as the fact that the temperature of the interior was 68 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit compared to the outdoors. Very, very reasonable. Balmy. All right, a balmy negative 5,000.
The outside temperature was at least 40 degrees below zero. Once you stepped inside these structures, the temperature was an ambient 68 to 72 degrees.
It's huge, dude. Thing had heating in it. That's pretty cool. Very, very good detail to give us. Thank you. So why was this guy out there, Spartan 1? Well, he was out there to receive information from an individual to bring it back to base. This individual, I suppose, is an alien. I don't really know, dude. Octangular ship, green hieroglyphics. What the Who? You did what? That's not a Jimmy John's, okay? You had an interaction with an extraterrestrial. What the That's not the Club Lulu. So yeah, aliens, easy. And if they're hiding out there, we'll never find him, dude. That's one of the secrets of the Antarctic. We'll never know. Dude, Superman hid out in the Arctic and the Antarctic. So if he's there and he's an alien, then there's also for sure gotta be more aliens out there, no doubt! There's also a theory that there's a secret bunker for the rich in Antarctica. I believe that, though, to be honest. This one's the most believable one, kind of. I don't know, dude. Rich people have a lot of bunkers. They got bunkers in Hawaii, and the roofs are blue, but like, it isn't that crazy to have a bunker out in Antarctica. The various theories and conspiracies surrounding these structures in Antarctica are nearly bottomless. And of the ones that I find particularly tantalizing is the fact that there are probably bunkers that are built up there in anticipation of doomsday by really, really rich people. You know, because like, rich people just kind of do whatever they want. We know that. We know that. Treaties that affect the public do not affect the 1 of the 1%. That's just kind of how it is. They're out in the woods worshipping Moloch, the owl god, and sacrificing the youth and whatnot. And I believe there is an air of evil to rich people that I have yet to fully understand. But I wouldn't put it past them to build bunkers in Antarctica. I feel like that seems like that makes sense, right? Shit, I would if I was a billionaire, dude. I'd be like, sure, yeah, build me a bunker up there, some bitch. I'd go to www.bunker.com. There's probably going to be some kind of nuclear annihilation event soon, and billionaires will survive. So it's like, you know, that's just how it is. On top of this, we also know about some shit that is in Antarctica, like actually know. And Antarctica is largely an isolated, incredibly mysterious place, seemingly unexplored, except by those who are either A, very rich, have access to pay tour guides, things like that, people who are very connected, people who are very stupid, people who are very smart because they're scientists, or Sergeant Johnson from Halo. It is rare for people to go to Antarctica, but it's not unheard of. There are approximately 32,000 visitors to Antarctica between 2022 and 2023, the tourist season for the place. This is according to Adventure Smith Explorations, which I don't know if I trust them as far as I could throw them. Let's be real. I just thought it'd be funny to be distrustful of something that appears normal, as opposed to me believing all this nonsense that I'm talking about here. So it's not nobody, but it's also not a terrible amount of people, and that is because it is an expensive trip. With sites like Adventure Smith Exploration and Trip.com having pages describing just the cost for traveling to Antarctica ranging between $5,000 and $15,000 per person, depending on whether or not you fly, take a cruise, and how luxuriously you want to travel and how luxurious you want your experience in general to be. Very luxurious. I want to be treated like a king when I'm in the ice desert. What the f? It sounds like a terrible place to be in general. Then on top of travel, you have lodging options between $500 and $2,000 a day, and that depends obviously on how many amenities you'd like and the level of luxury, of course. Now, Antarctica is approximately the size of the United States of America and Mexico combined, maybe like Australia moment. That is a lot of ground to cover, but there are very few base camps in the region and settled/permanent bases comparatively to the mainland United States, or even more sparsely populated places like Greenland or Iceland. Like, there is not that many people in Antarctica at any given time. There's not that many towns. There's not that many places to go. So yeah, there's like 0.001% of the amount of infrastructure as every other developed country because it's impossible to live there, but it's the size of America and Mexico combined. So there's a lot of room of just stuff we don't know. And that leads people to speculate endlessly about what might lie beneath the ice. I've seen The Thing. I know what's up there. One day I will become Kurt Russell. We also discussed the hidden door, believed by some to be a Nazi bunker from World War II. So bunkers might be more than just theoretical at this point, more than just conspiracies. According to a British Antarctic survey on an Antarctic fact sheet, there are 18 countries that operate year-round scientific research stations on the continent. There are as many as 10,000 scientists at any given time and support staff between them. And with it being one of the most hostile, largely uninhabitable, fucking cold environments in the world, more extreme than anywhere else on Earth, it would be perfect for hiding bunkers. There are two places like this that come to mind as just public knowledge that anybody can access. So imagine with our speculative, imaginative brains, how many we could come up with, guys. The Arctic World Archive is a facility in Norway created for the preservation of data and knowledge so that if ever something cataclysmic happened, the world's memory would be saved, which is pretty cool. They have a website called www.arcticworldarchive.com, as well as an 18-page brochure kind of going over their mission. It's like the Jedi, what is it called? Files? What do they call the Jedi? If it's not in the Codex, it does not exist. From the prequels? I butchered that. Fix it for me. What is it? The Codex! The Lexicon! The Jedi Archive! Is it just the Jedi Archive? Okay, it is. The Jedi Archives. Look at this picture of these archivists holding that film there. That's pretty cool. A lot of data. Like those little square scooter things you'd ride around in the gym in elementary school. I didn't go to elementary school, but it's trying to be relatable. So, another Arctic bunker with a similar goal of preservation, only for the world's food supply, instead of knowledge, is the Global Seed Vault.
Welcome to the Global Seed Vault. This is a facility where we store copies of seeds from gene banks all over the world.
The GSV, as I call it, is home to millions of seeds in the event that our plants get destroyed. We can regrow them. We can rebuild because we have a seed storage facility for the Arctic.
Deep inside the permafrost mountain, close to the North Pole, is a storage facility with the capacity to store over 4 million different crops and a maximum of 2.5 billion seeds. The Global Seed Vault was created as a backup system for the world's gene banks to protect humanity against any catastrophes that could potentially wipe out our agricultural diversity.
Which is not the Antarctic, but it's kind of the same. But it's also completely different. So we got seeds and knowledge stored in bunkers. How far-fetched really is it that billionaires might be out there? building bunkers. I feel like it's not that far-fetched. Rising S Bunkers is a private company that you can commission to build yourself an emergency bunker. They got their start selling emergency storm shelters, but they leveled up their business model to privatize bunkers, underground bunkers, dude. Their cheapest option is an 8-foot by 12-foot mini bunker for 50 grand. And their most expensive option is the Aristocrat, which is a luxurious underground bunker, certainly one that I'll be buried in very soon in Antarctica. It comes with a bowling alley, an indoor firing range, a pool, a hot tub, and even a motor cave, all right? Along with plenty of other amenities. It costs $10 million and they'll deliver it and install it anywhere in the goddamn world. So, why not Antarctica? Vivos is another company that sells bunkers, pretty cool. They are truly commercializing the end of the world. They have a website, terravivos.com, and they got pretty awesome fearmonger slogan, the backup plan for humanity, telling you to secure your space in a Vivos underground shelter to survive any catastrophe. It's Vault-Tec, dude. It's Vault-Tec in real life. As soon as they get their first defense contract and start getting American government money, the marketing spend will increase tenfold and we'll have our very own Vault-Tec in real life. Vivos was on the Travel Channel at one point for their extreme survival bunkers. It's cool, man.
If a nuclear conflict were to erupt, what kind of facility would protect its occupants from a direct atomic blast? If you ask Robert Vicino, the answer resides with his California-based shelter company, Vivos, that builds fully stocked underground bunkers designed to withstand massive disasters and catastrophes.
I like the idea of living underground like a mole rat, some kind of cave person. I love that idea. It gets even more like Vault-Tec when you start to consider Vivos's survival communities, like Vivos Europa 1, a 76-acre above and below ground facility that was originally built by the Soviets during the Cold War. It's apparently fully operational and has 34 private living quarters, 2,500 square feet each, $2 million per. What the fuck? Then they got Vivos X Point, which is the largest of all their communities. There are 575 private military-built all-risk bunkers over 18 square miles on a former U.S. Army base. What? They're actually cheap too. You can get a spot for $55,000 plus $1,100 a year. Then you spend 10 grand and they'll outfit your bunker for you. You can survive in comfort. They'll give you furniture, food, supplies, fuel, everything you need. The main difference from Vivos to Rising S is that these bunkers are reliant on existing Cold War era hardened facilities, but they can build you one anywhere in the world for a large fee. The Vivos Shrine Shelter Complex, for example, it looks cool, dude. I want one of these so badly. There's no price given, so I assume it's probably catered more towards billionaires because you can build it anywhere in the world. I don't even know if that's legal. But my God, that's cool. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And we know that Mark Zuckerberg is building an apocalypse bunker in Hawaii and other billionaires are joining suit. We got Peter Thiel, the former CEO of PayPal, trying to build a 10-bedroom bunker on a South New Zealand island before it was shut down by the local government in 2022 due to the potential negative impact that it would have had on the surrounding landscape. What? What are these people up to, dude? Why? It's a club and we're not in it, I think. Unfortunately, I'm not. You know where there isn't a local government that can shut down your bunker building dreams? Antarctica! You don't need a visa to go there. You just have to have a tour guide or whatever. Just pay somebody a lot, like a Sherpa. Do it. Now, on to my favorite part of this rabbit hole. Maybe second favorite part. The ancient cities of Antarctica. There are many age-old beliefs and claims that ancient cities exist, and there's very little evidence of them. For example, Atlantis, Hyperborea.
Hyperborean. Is this a place or an ancient civilization in Europe? It's something to do with the north.
Borean just means northern. Hyperborean means the extreme north. The ancient Greeks used this to refer to a mythological place that was like up in the Arctic, but they didn't know about the Arctic, so it was more like, you know, in Russian steppes or something like that. But if you're asking which modern country is Hyperborea, none. It's a mythological place. It was based off of rumors of people who traveled in what is now Russia or what is now Poland, but it's not a real place. But yeah, it just means the extreme north. So you hear that word used sometimes, Hyperborean, to refer to things that are in the extreme north.
It's like a racist one. But people still think that it exists. There's a lot of shorts on YouTube about it. A lot of AI-made shorts. It's very strange. It's another rabbit hole in and of itself. Potentially the most mythical and talked about ancient, non-existent city that has been talked about for thousands of years is Atlantis.
Poseidon, receiving for his lot the island of Atlantis, begat children by a mortal woman, and settled them in part of the island.
Ancient civilization, centuries ago, it's old. It's known only today for its myth. Sorry, myth. So where did the myth come from? Well, it came from Plato, the guy who talked about the cave that I love. I love that. It's like, I like the cave idea. You know, the Plato's cave. But yeah, Plato talked about Atlantis in his works, Timaeus and Critias, which he talked about the ancient city.
Of the combatants, on the one side, the city of Athens was reported to have been the leader and to have fought out the war. The combatants, on the other side, were commanded by the kings of Atlantis, which, as I was saying, was an island greater in extent than Libya and Asia, and when afterwards sunk by an earthquake, became an impassable barrier of mud to voyagers sailing from hence to any part of the ocean.
A lot of people shit on Plato and say, none of that's real. You're just writing fanfics, okay? You're just a freak. You're just a weird. You're trying to be like Gilgamesh, okay? You're trying to be like Moses and Isaiah, all right? But then there's some people that think that Plato is speaking truth and that Atlantis did exist at some point in time, and that there was a naval empire so feared that it ruled all parts of the known world, connected to water, of course. The biggest question is, where the did it go, guys? According to a fella named Charles Hapgood, in his crustal displacement theory, he believes that the Earth's outer crust moved rapidly and there was a polar shift, 2,000-mile change, and it moved Atlantis to where Antarctica is right now, and it froze over. So the entire city is under the ice cap. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's like a time capsule, a sudden time capsule, a frozen time capsule just came out of nowhere in Antarctica. It's not just ice, it's an entire island and technology beneath it. So if we were to subscribe to Hapgood's theory, that suggests that around 12,000 years ago, the shift moved Antarctica, aka Atlantis, to its current position. Albert Einstein thought this theory was intriguing. He even said that this hypothesis deserves scientific consideration, which is pretty impressive, to be honest. And even though this theory and explanation is not greatly considered, the landmass did inhabit life at some point. Human life, not exactly sure. But yeah, if it's Atlantis, I feel like the South Pole and stuff shift. I'm not really sure. I'm not 100% sure what I believe there. I feel like it's probably not. That's probably not true. But we are due for a polar shift, and that's interesting, and that will have quite a unique effect on us. It's gonna f up our holes for a while. We're not gonna be very protected against the sun's corona mass ejections for a long time, which is gonna, or at least for a while. And that's gonna be scary. Another similar theory to the Atlantis theory is that there is just an ancient civilization in Antarctica there's miles of thick ice. It's just impossible to discover. It's very convenient. It's a very convenient place to just theorize and make shit up. There are so many theories though. I believe there is something shocking beneath the ice. For example, a 2,000 kilometer by 2,000 kilometer pyramid, perfectly squared pyramid, buried in the snow, guys. We have proof of it from Google Maps. Check this out. Google Earth Maps, whatever the. There's a bit of an Egyptian story that could potentially explain this whole pyramid, 2,000 kilometer by 2,000 kilometer pyramid thing. The Egyptians believed in their Edfu texts that there was a group of people called the followers of Set. The gods were displeased with this group and they wished to destroy them and start anew. So they created a magical weapon called the Sun's Eye, which could bring destruction to all things, all living things. And after it was used, it caused the world to flood. The flood myths, guys, obviously floods are real, gigantic, extra flood. The whole flood thing is fascinating to me. I do find it interesting that there's like 40 something or 70 or something. I don't know. A lot of different cultures have flood myths, which is ironic. It does flood a lot. So maybe that's why we all have flood myths. Maybe there wasn't a giant one. But this Egyptian story is similar to the story of Noah, if you are familiar with that. The great flood destroyed the world, and because of this belief, Plato was inspired by the story and talked about Atlantis and the disappearance of civilization due to earthquakes and a great flood. So there you go. If you were to take this into consideration and believe that it is real, it could explain the disappearance of Atlantis and some civilizations altogether that are just buried under the ice in Antarctica. It is important to note, though, there is no evidence of any of this. I will say, there is no evidence of any of this. But, as I always say, an absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. And a broken clock is right twice a day. Now on to the very bottom of the rabbit hole, and this isn't even the Antarctic rabbit hole. This is the Arctic rabbit hole. We've talked about that a little bit. I've kind of conflated them a few times. Sometimes I like to do that so people get mad and comment. But today, right now, we're going down to the bottom of the rabbit hole. For me, the South Pole, the North Pole, they're basically the same thing. You can't go there. Admiral Byrd went there and he wrote in his diary a lot of crazy shit.
August 1946. esteemed U.S. naval officer and explorer Admiral Richard Byrd, one of the first pilots to fly over both the North and South Poles, organizes Operation High Jump, the largest expedition ever to travel to Antarctica. With 13 ships, 23 aircraft, and over 4,700 military personnel.
And he was also born in Winchester, Virginia, which is where I was born. He was born a long time before I was, though. According to Admiral Byrd's diary, he embarked on an extraordinary flight to the North Pole in 1947.
One of the mission's official goals was investigating sites for potential military bases in Antarctica.
During his journey, he claimed to have encountered an advanced hidden civilization living within the Earth's interior.
Admiral Byrd heard there was an entrance to the center of the Earth through the South Pole. And he took planes into the South, under the South Pole. And when he did that, he discovered that as he flew over the pole, suddenly he's looking at things that shouldn't be there. I mean, it was temperate. His squadron flew under the Earth, into the Earth.
It turns into this lush and green area, and he can't even believe his eyes. But that's just the beginning of his extraordinary story. He tells how all of a sudden he starts to see a shimmering rainbow city that's made of crystal.
This is referred to often as Agartha, as opposed to Atlantis in Antarctica. Byrd's journal described how Byrd's aircraft was intercepted by flying machines with swastika-like markings. I told you! I told you!
His airplane is taken control of when he suddenly sees these flying disc-shaped objects around him that lead him to the ground. Whereupon he's escorted into a cavernous type of an area where he meets a being he refers to as the Master in his diary.
They guided him to a safe landing area, and he was greeted by representatives of Agartha, who spoke English and possessed strikingly advanced technology. Obviously, bro, what the fuck? Their technology was strikingly advanced. They live in a hole beyond the ice wall, of course. So we can't get there.
The Master tells him that they're highly disappointed in what humans are doing with nuclear weapons and how they've recently destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And they really are concerned about what is going on the surface of the planet.
The inhabitants, once again, incredibly advanced and very peaceful. They were nice to Admiral Byrd, and they imparted some great wisdom onto him. They said, for one, stop writing secret shit down in your journal, you stupid idiot. Then they purportedly warned Admiral Byrd about humanity's destructive tendencies. This is 1947, right after the use of 2 atomic weapons at Nagasaki and Hiroshima at the end of World War II. So yeah, that makes sense. That is obviously concerning nuclear weapons. The journal mentions that the Agarthans were particularly concerned about the events of World War II. They were nervous because they're like, oh, we're in this hole and you guys are bombing stuff, and it's like, you're kind of a bad neighbor, you're really noisy. Byrd wrote that he was taken to the Master and given a spanking. That is the leader of the Agarthan civilization, of course. Byrd actually didn't get a spanking by the Master. I made that part up. He was actually allowed to enter Agartha due to his status as an emissary of the surface world. He's an admiral of the greatest navy that exists. And the Master expressed a great desire to communicate with leaders of the outside world to warn them about the dangers of continuing their path of destruction. Now, are these guys Nazis? I don't know. Why do they have swastika-like markings on their planes? I have no idea. Is that real? Is that made up? It's probably made up. Old Byrd's journal suggests that there is a large underground subterranean world with its own sun and its own poles. You can access it through the poles, the north and the south. And this has fueled a lot of conspiracy theories about a hollow earth and hidden civilizations. And also, according to Byrd, the Agarthans were in possession of advanced technology, anti-gravity propulsion, and some power from a source that they called the Vril. I don't really know anything about any of this. I know that whales eat krill. Anyways, let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm incredibly grateful. Enjoy your day. Thank you. This has been Down the Rabbit Hole, The Secrets of Antarctica.